So Yunli is going to be very similar to Clara. Same path, same elements, and even the same playstyle. So is she at least going to be a little better where it's worth it to get Yunli? Hopefully in this video we're going to compare them very quick and explain Yunli's kit. So yeah, let's start right off, starting off with her normal attack. It's just going to be a normal physical damage dealt. Yunli is just going to attack enemies and then that's it. Now moving on to her skill, you're just going to restore your HP based around your attack. So a flat amount plus an amount based around your attack. And then it's going to deal physical damage to a single enemy and then deal half of that physical damage to the adjacent enemies. So it can deal damage to up to 3 enemies. Pretty simple. It's just going to heal you, self-sustain you, and then also deal some damage to enemies. That's it. The scalings are also kind of similar to Clara's skill, but Clara can deal the same damage to the adjacent enemies. Yunli's damage is going to be less to adjacent enemies, but pretty much the same to the enemy target. Her talent is that it's pretty much when she's attacked, she's going to unleash a counter attack that's probably be counted as a follow-up attack, and it's going to deal the same damage as her elemental skill too. Some damage to the main target and then half of that damage to the side targets. But you're going to need to get attacked for it to be activated, and also it's not going to heal you. It's just going to counter attack and that's it. Now moving on to probably the most important part of her kit, which is her ultimate. First of all, it's going to consume 120 energy for you to trigger this ultimate. Why this is mentioned is kind of important because her maximum energy is going to be 240, so you can charge up energy up to 240, but her ultimate is only going to cost 120 energy. That means you can have up to 2 ultimates right away. It's like Argenti's ultimate, but the thing is with Argenti, you can have like a stronger ultimate if you charge it. With Yunli, she's not really going to be able to do like a very strong ultimate. It's just like double the ultimate. So every time you ult, it's going to consume 120. So even if you have the maximum 240 energy, you can just do your normal ult 2 times, which is pretty good. And we're going to see in a bit maybe why. So for her ultimate, pretty much it's just going to give you a taunt. That means it's going to increase your aggro, so enemies are going to be much more likely to attack you. The problem is this aggro is only going to last until one enemy or an ally finishes their turn. So if you do your ultimate, you get the aggro, and then whoever next has a turn after you, when it finishes, your aggro is going to be gone. So it's just one turn. Not even like one turn for you and Lee, just an extra turn, literally. And like the bar, whoever has a turn next, when it ends, your aggro is going to be gone. When you have this aggro and this buff, when it's not gone yet, your crit damage is going to be increased by a huge amount. And then you have 2 possibilities pretty much. So the first possibility is going to be when you get attacked during this next turn. That means if an enemy has a turn and then attacks you. In that case, Yunli is going to deal a huge amount of physical damage to this target enemy who attacked you, and then also deal half of that damage to enemies adjacent to it. And then she's also going to deal 6 instances of random physical damage to 6 random enemies, or to random enemies, not 6 random enemies, but it's going to deal like 6 instances randomly. The second possibility is that if you don't get attacked in the next turn, let's say a teammate takes a turn or an enemy just doesn't attack, he does a buff or something like that. Whatever the case might be, if you don't get attacked, in that case, you're just going to launch a slash counter instead of a cool counter. In that case, you're just going to deal like physical damage to an enemy and then half of that physical damage to enemies adjacent to it. Randomly, by the way. They're just going to randomly choose an enemy, deal damage to it, and then enemies adjacent to it too. And then also it's going to guarantee your next attack to be a coal, which means the next time you use your ultimate, it doesn't matter whether you get attacked or not, you're going to be launching a coal attack and launch the extra 6 random instances of damage. It's going to increase your damage by a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much your ultimate. You really just want to use it when you know an enemy is going to attack. So you just want to pop it when it's an enemy turn. Close to that, you just want to pop your ultimate and time it just correctly. And then when the enemy attacks, Yunli is going to have the taunt on her. So you're pretty much almost guaranteed that she's going to be the one getting attacked. And when she does, she's going to be launching like a huge attack on this enemy specifically, and then also deal random damage to the rest of the enemies. That's a very strong part of her kit, by the way. The physical damage is going to be pretty huge from her ultimate. Now moving on to her traces very quick. First trace is that whenever she gets attacked, you're going to regenerate 15 energy, which is pretty good and important because her ultimate is going to be a big part of her kit. So you want to trigger it as, consistent as possible, and that's going to help a lot. Second ascension trace is that when you're in the ultimate state, the parry state, you're going to resist crowd control debuffs, so you cannot get like debuffed and then your attack is just gone. And then it's also going to lower the damage received by 20%, which is pretty good. And then finally, when you use a counter, it's going to increase your attack by 30% for 1 turn, which is also pretty good. Just pretty simple ascensions. I think the best one is your energy one because it's just going to allow you to have a very good uptime on your ultimate. Okay, so now that we finished her kit, we can see pretty much that she's going to rely a lot on getting attacked. Even her ultimate is not going to be very consistent if you don't get attacked. You're not going to have enough energy. And if you don't get attacked after you use your ultimate and you don't time it correctly, you're going to lose out on a lot of damage, which is not good. So you'd want to make sure you're always getting getting attacked with Yunli. But there's one big problem with that is that she doesn't really have a lot of taunt sources from her kit except for her ultimate. And her ultimate is just like literally just gonna guarantee one attack on you and then that's it. But for the rest of her kit, it doesn't give you any taunts. So she's just gonna have like the normal taunt values as any other character, which is gonna be very, very inconsistent. Which is my biggest problem with Yunli, to be honest, is that she likes to be attacked but doesn't really provide any taunts to get attacked herself. Now, that can be fixed with teammates or maybe her weapon, but we're not really talking about that in this video. We're talking about their kits specifically. Now, comparing her to the elephant in the room, which is Clara that we have right now, damage-wise, I would say Yunli is gonna just deal more damage. The cold slash from her ultimate is just gonna be a huge amount of damage that Clara can simply never deal. But the thing is, with consistency, I'm not really sure. It's just gonna depend on your luck whenever you don't have Yunli's signature weapon. Because if you don't get attacked with Yunli, then you're gonna lack a lot. You're not gonna be able to have enough energy, which is just not good. With Clara, she can at least increase her taunts for a little bit when you use her ultimate, so it's gonna be a little bit easier and a little more consistent, I would say. But if you manage to get consistent counters on Yunli, whether that's with her light cone or with a teammate, for example, that can increase your taunt, in that case, her damage is just simply gonna be better than Clara's. So yeah, for a quick comparison between Clara and Yunli, I'd say for Yunli, she's just gonna deal more damage simply. That's like her biggest potential. She has much higher ceiling than Clara in terms of like how much damage she can deal. Her multipliers are simply just gonna be better, especially from her ultimate. And if you're able to spam your ultimate with her, you're gonna be dealing a lot of damage, much more than Clara. As simple as that. Problem with that is that this is not always accessible because you're either gonna need her light cone or her teammates to activate that. Without them, I would say they're gonna be on par, to be honest, because her damage is simply just gonna be very inconsistent, and I don't think you can rely on her if she's not like taunted enough to deal a lot of counter attack damage. And in general, I would say she's gonna be a little harder to play because you need to time her ultimate pretty well. You need to make sure she's getting attacks, stuff like that, specific teammates, specific light cone options. So she's definitely gonna be harder to play, especially in like auto battles compared to someone like Clara. With Clara, I'd say she's a little more consistent in terms of damage, and also she's much easier to play, especially in like auto battles and stuff like that. Clara can easily clear, and also Clara can be used as a sub DPS. With Yunli, you're kind of forced to use her as like a main DPS and also focus on her. You cannot like throw her as a sub DPS, but you can do that with Clara. With Clara, you can just put her on the team whenever she gets attacked, then she's gonna deal damage and that's it. Survivability wise, I think Clara is like has more survivability, but I don't think it matters as much because at the end of the day, you're probably gonna run a sustain with both of them, so you're gonna be fine with either of them, to be honest. I don't think that's a point that's worth mentioning. So yeah, these are the main differences between them. To be honest, you can even play them together in the same team. You can make it like kind of work. You just throw in like Clara and then Yunli, and then let's say just energy buffers so you can spam both their ultimates. So let's say like Team Yun and Ho-Ho. That's gonna be a very viable team actually. So they don't really need to be rivals. Clara can be used as a sub DPS and she can be used as a sub DPS for Yunli. So this is a possible option. Maybe not the best, especially in like some scenarios, but it's definitely viable. Now in general, my final thoughts on Yunli are like, okay, I guess. I don't really see what Hoyoverse are doing with her, to be honest. I mean, besides these differences, she's still like very similar to Clara. I don't really know why would they do that, just straight up. Like she's just very direct competition with like pretty much nothing new except maybe some extra damage if you can have enough of her like gear. So I don't really see like the vision here, to be honest. Honestly, I thought if she was even maybe a different element, it would have been okay. As like a counter attacker, it would have been fine if she's like similar kit, similar path, but maybe different elements for like breaks and stuff like that. But it's literally just like same everything. It's another copy of Clara. Obviously some different stuff, but the general idea is just like too similar. So if you have Clara, I definitely wouldn't really recommend Yunli. So yeah, my thoughts about Yunli is that she could have been designed better, to be honest. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.